And now, the LSU Football Fix with Preston Guy, presented by TigerBait, starts now.
And welcome in to your LSU Football Fix. I'm Preston Guy, your host as always. Zack is out tonight. He was able to make it Monday night. However, I was on a flight coming home from the one and only Disney World. As y'all may have noticed on the post-game show, the miserable, horrible post-game show Saturday night. So I'm back home. Zack had to go cover the women's basketball game tonight. So we brought in the backup host, Carter Bryant, will be joining us here in just a few minutes. I was trying to give it about 5 minutes before the show started to see if he could have enough time to kind of wrap it up. Guys, he does a live stream on his channel that literally ends at 8 o'clock. So it's a little bit of a tough bounce back into here. So I'm just going to kind of take the steering wheel and go with it till he gets in here. We got a few comments in here. Of course, we got No Cojones Kelly with his very on-brand smartassery. No margin for error, yet Preston has a margin for time. Oh, well, must be cooking on X today. I did have some cooking I was doing on Twitter today. Always hush, Hal. And of course, let's go. It's Bama Hate Weeks. I look, it is kind of fun that the LSU community gets 2 weeks to hate on Alabama. And Jeremy Frakes, I'm sick, but great show. Hey, look, thanks for joining us while you're sick. I'm glad I get to be your bedside entertainment while you're feeling a little under the weather. Checking on Carter here, not quite in yet, but he'll be here in just a few minutes, guys. Tonight we gotta touch on a little bit. I know it almost sounds miserable to talk about it, but we got to talk about that implosion in College Station last week and what LSU has to do to right the ship. Is LSU season is now on the line very quickly. We talked about how by LSU upsetting Ole Miss, LSU earned a mulligan, and it spent that mulligan pretty quickly in College Station last weekend. LSU has to win out. So that makes Alabama a must-win game. The good news is it looks more winnable than it's looked in a very long time. Saban's gone, and it's quite evident that that's the case. So we're going to talk about Nussmeier and his struggles, injured offensive linemen. Of course, we're going to talk about Jalen Milroe and the challenges he brings to the table. We're talking about LSU not playing a full game of football. That seems to be very on track for LSU this season. Seems like they haven't played a full game. And of course, we'll talk a little bit of, I don't want to call it Twitter drama, but I had Jake Crane hitting me up on Twitter today, talk about Cam Newton versus Joe Burrow. And, the chef had to get to cooking. I'll put it like that. And of course, we'll talk a number of angles tonight. I want it, due to it being the bye week, I do want to get to a number of your questions and kind of almost have a Q&A session where we talk with y'all. So I've intentionally left a bit of room open on this show to get to your questions and talk up tonight. But before we dive too deeply into that, and before we bring Carter back on, guys, y'all know we got to thank our title sponsor who sponsors our show each and every year. It's Celebrity Theaters, guys. Celebrity Theaters is locally owned and operated with locations in Baton Rouge, Ruston, and of course, because they're locally owned and operated, guys, because of that, you're going to be guaranteed to see a clean facility, better pricing, superior customer service, state-of-the-art technology, and of course, the Baton Rouge location has an invigorating arcade featuring over 50 games. It's the largest in town. Of course, they got a bar featuring frozen wine, beer, and drinks, and oversized leather reclining seats. And of course, guys, don't forget they've got their 3D Dolby Atmos sound system with the largest screen in Baton Rouge. And with all that being said, without further ado, the man, Carter. What's up, man? Thanks for filling in for Zack.
Celebrity Theaters.
Man, you ever been there?
No, I have not.
Okay, look. Next time you're in town, my treat, we'll take you out. Okay, well, I'll get you there somehow, some way. I tell people I don't say this because I'm paid to say it, but it's the best theater in town. It really is awesome.
That's awesome.
But good guys, are you a movie connoisseur at all?
No, I'm not. I've
Really?
been lucky to know quite a few people in the industry, but I do not. I'm not a film nerd per se,
Right.
but I do love a good movie reference. I don't think people understand your pop culture knowledge is insane. Your movie knowledge is crazy.
I feel like I'm not that crazy on it. I feel like I'm subpar.
I think it was your first appearance. You're able to on my channel. You made some film reference, but your movie knowledge is crazy. But
hold up. Let me frame this real quick. Is it my movie knowledge is crazy, or are you a sports sicko? Are you just a sports you're all in, bro? You don't have time for movies. You got film to watch.
Well, you know what's funny is like when I watch a really good movie, I sink into a really bad depression.
Really?
That it's over. Like it's bad. So I've had to honestly, I've never actually shared this before. I sink into really deep seated sadness. Like
if it's a good movie?
If it's because it's over. Right? Because like here's the thing about sports is you always have another game, right? Like after 2019 LSU, I was like, oh, that's great. I'll never see anything like that again.
Right.
I'm ready to see Miles Brennan. I'm ready to see Eric Gilbert, wherever we were at that time. Because there's always something next.
Right.
But when the film is over, it's done. That's why
to get that feeling of emptiness.
Yes. And like, am I a big film guy? I was, but I would have infinite sadness. It took me, like, literally, I'd go to bed and I would be so sad. This is what depression really feels.
Well, let me ask this. Did you go to bed happy Saturday night?
Oh, after a loss? I didn't go to sleep. I didn't go to sleep after the A&M game.
Okay.
Because there's just so much film study. Now that I do so much NFL film study on Sunday, I was like, let me just start cutting it. I didn't go to bed till 6 or 7. I was at the DJ a wedding earlier that day. So there's so much energy. I've actually become more of a music guy. I work more in the music industry now, but like I would get so sad. Like at the end of Breaking Bad, the best show ever made.
Great show. Watched it.
I couldn't get over it. I just could not get over it. I was like, I'm never getting to watch another episode of the show. And the funny thing about it, Preston, is like Better Call Saul came out, and many people think that Better Call Saul was better than Breaking Bad. I watched the first season. I was like, this might be better than Breaking Bad.
You know what? I said the same thing, and Mike Scarborough roasted my ass.
Yes.
I mean, he destroyed me for saying that. I was like, I enjoy it better. My dad's a lawyer. I enjoy the whole lawyerism.
Yeah, okay.
I don't connect well with the drug culture stuff as well.
But yeah, so after the first season, Preston, I had to quit watching because I was like, I know at some point this is going to end, and I do not want to get back into that spot. Like literally nothing makes me sadder than at the end of a show or a movie. So now I only see like comedies, and the only films that I will allow myself to go see is Christopher Nolan films. I think he's so much better than every other director to ever walk the face of the earth. I think his movies are that much better than all of it. It took me a week to get over Oppenheimer when I saw it the first time. I was like, that movie was so damn good. Like I couldn't believe what I had just witnessed. I felt like I was in there for 10 minutes. It was a 3-hour-long movie. But yeah, I will take you up on that. I'd love to go to celebrity theaters.
Of course, FYI, Carter likes fruity drinks, so treat him one. Are you a fruity drink guy?
Yes, big time.
Really?
Yeah. So there's one super fan you're familiar with, Danny Girl. She always messes with me about it. She'll text me randomly and be like, I know you're chugging a fruity drink. My wife gets on to me about it. My Wit Wheats thing that I did on Twitter, because I did it with a fruity seltzer. People didn't count my shotgun. experience. But yes, I don't understand why people crap on me for liking drinks that taste good. I don't understand it.
My brother is the exact same way, and
Good.
we still roast him every time he does it. Every time he's, oh, give me a buttery nipple, and I'm like, all right, bro, let's do a Miller Lite. Thank you. I'm here to watch some ball. Give me a cold beer. Anyways, I'll say this exception: if you're on vacation, a pina colada, whatever, I dig it. When in Rome, as they say. Anyways, Saturday night was depressing, says Dane Bergeron. I picked out a few issues, Carter. In your chance to review the game since then, what's been what would you say the biggest issue for LSU was in that game?
Yeah, I think starting off with the macro issue, so much of LSU's run game success was simply because Jaden Daniels was on the field. And there have been plenty of analytical studies that have shown that if you have a truly transcendent speed quarterback back there, it makes life a lot easier. The running backs that have played with Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts at the next level had, some of the best seasons of their career. And now we're watching Derrick Henry put together one of the best running back seasons we've seen, when people have told us for years that running backs are dead. Now you put arguably the best running back of the past decade with the best dual threat quarterback, you get Super Saiyan.
Stop you real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Derrick Henry having that great of a season right now?
Yes.
It wasn't good enough to beat this guy in my fantasy league this weekend, because he only got me, let's see, how many points is that? Oh man, it got like 6 points this weekend, and I got crushed. In fact, let's see, it says, okay, got me 14.2 points. So apparently it's not that good, Carter. Carter, are you willing to admit this was pretty disrespectful?
Yeah, no, in your league, for me.
In my league, I am the commissioner, not a good commissioner, but a commissioner, and you came in there and smoked me.
Right. But Preston, I'll also say you do not play near the amount of fantasy football. So this draft that I did with you was I would say, I'd have to go look at my exposures. I think that was the 200th fantasy draft I did. So I
overall.
Yes, okay, from this
offseason.
Right. Now 197 of them are best ball drafts. So I don't set the lineups every week. But I should be doing that to like basically every home league that I'm in. So it's there's no shame in that. Like I won a pretty big fantasy tournament last year. I got pretty close to winning, and that was the biggest quote unquote gambling score of my life. So I decided to go all in on fantasy stuff, and I'm doing well in the home leagues, but in the actual ones where you can win $1 million, I'm getting destroyed. And it's because I didn't draft enough Derrick Henry. He's been the biggest success rate player in fantasy this year. But, if you're next to that level of a runner, it makes your life a lot easier. And, I think when you have that, you're able to leave defensive ends totally unblocked. And if you actually take a look at a lot of the rush stoppages that happened in this game, where the offensive line was able to get some good blocks, oftentimes it was the backside end blowing the play up, right? So you don't account for that if you're watching a game last year with Jaden Daniels, like how much that affected every last little thing that you watch. Right. But literally that has been the biggest problem for me watching the LSU rushing attack, which we have really struggled guarding things from the backside. Also, the middle of LSU's offensive line in particular has had some really big issues run blocking. And the key for any rushing attack to work is you have to have one rushing play that is your bread and butter, right? So Florida State, the great Florida State teams, obviously not this year, but from the years past, they base everything on a counter. LSU was a very inside zone read kind of team, and it's hard to do those things when the other teams are able to key on what you're doing. And some of that is Joe Sloan's inexperience with play calling, play sequencing, the greats, the Lane Kiffins, the Josh Heupels, they're really good at sequencing their play calls, showing you one thing, and then the next thing they're doing you something else. And on top of that, Preston, another issue has been guys just getting their ass kicked.
I think that's been a big issue.
Yeah, and with all those different excuses and Nuss not being a runner, and it makes it harder to run block, and Joe Sloan's play calling and all of that, it ultimately does come down to your players. Because look, I could go on that long spiel, but a guy like Will Blackwell or PJ Lonergan will say, "Hey, other teams knew we were running the football, and we were still able to do it." So that's a big issue, right? You still need to be able to line up and move guys in the running game. And
Right.
the problem with that, Preston, and this is one thing I do think that Will Campbell quote before the season when he said, "Hey, we're going to run the football and we're going to see if you're going to stop it." I'm not highlighting it just to say that, it's a bad thing that we've not lived up to that expectation, but him saying that so confidently lets us know that LSU was really going to rely on that. And the fact that we have not been able to do it, or LSU has not been able to do it, it's been alarming. But to me, Preston, the good thing is that Caden Durham has emerged, and he's been so special. I thought his A&M game was actually pretty good. He's been so good that he's been able to overcome a lot of the rough blocking ahead of him, and hopefully LSU can, through this bye week, find a rushing style or play that can work versus Alabama.
Well, that leads me to this super chat we got here. What realistic growth can we expect in the running game this far into the season? And I think it's fair to say, marginal. Like, I don't think they're going to all of a sudden explode and run the ball for 250 yards a game. We're not going to see them go under center and run a toss dive. They kind of are what they are, and sometimes they could run all right. Most of the times against really stout defenses, they're not going to be able to run the ball to save their life, and that's exactly what we saw against Texas A&M. I just think that's kind of the identity of the team. I mean, is that fair to say?
Yeah, and this is where it gets more into the players, right? So, Preston, especially for younger players, I never like for anyone to get swapped out. I want every LSU player to succeed, but I'm to the point now I think they need to try something else at center. But I also think it's too late to do that at the same time.
Yeah.
Especially now you get into some personnel issues, which is Garrett Dellinger's health, right? Ankle sprains are weird things, right? This is not
healthy.
Yeah, this is not a black and white situation where, if you have an ACL, okay, we know you're out for the rest of the season, whatever. Ankle sprains are very, very, very fluid. And I'm lucky to know a few people in the sports medicine industry. I'm not going to analyze an ankle sprain at all, but I've reached out to a few and they said, well, it honestly is a case by case kind of thing. Garrett,
I'll touch on it because as a senior in high school, I played with a high ankle sprain. And it's one of those things, you give it a week and you can play after 7 days. I could have played on the 7th day. 14 days, it's still going to hurt, and it's going to hurt for 6 weeks. That's assuming it's a bad ankle sprain, but you can play. You might have to stick a metal rod in there. You might have to wear a double ankle brace, but you play offensive line, not running back. You don't need to cut on that ankle. You need to just have it be in the dirt. You might hurt and you might screw up a block or two every once in a while because you rolled that ankle the wrong direction and it hurt real bad. That's kind of going to be Dellinger's reality. So assuming they're being, truthful about the diagnosis, which, Brian Kelly's been pretty truthful his time here. I mean, he's not, there's times where he's being intentionally vague. And when he's come out, it's been pretty legitimate. I expect Dellinger will be back against Alabama.
Okay, good. You're making me feel a lot better about life. Preston, I will say this. I am a true. If I were to start as a play caller, obviously I'm not qualified for that, but if I were to start, I would base everything that I do outside zone. That's what I would do. I love outside zone.
Qualified is only a level. It depends on what level we're talking about, Carter. Pee Wee football, I would hire you today.
Well, I appreciate that. And guess what we would do? We would run outside zone. That is everything that I would do, I would base every last little thing at it because I am a Shanahan McVay sucker.
Yeah.
Right? That's just those are my favorite offenses to watch. And I think for outside zone work, most effectively, you got to get under center, and that's obviously not what LSU is going to do at this point. Honestly, Preston, they've tried counter schemes. We've never really been able to block counter that well. We've tried, inside zone stuff. It's really tough to run inside zone when the middle of your offense is not, moving bodies the way that you expected them to going into the season. We'll see. We'll see what they decide to do moving forward. But you're right. I think at this point in the season, it's tough for that aspect to be drastically good, especially when you thought going into the season it was going to be really freaking good. When I was talking to people religiously in the building and I was at practice every single day, they were really confident in their run game. And Preston, you're as plugged in, if not more plugged in than I am. Am I correct about that? They were very confident they were going to be able to run the football this year.
Yeah, they were. I mean, look at the offensive line you had. I think if anything, the question was, were the running backs going to be good enough? And I think we all thought they're fine. Yes. I think we all thought Caleb Jackson was going to be a beast. I think everybody thought Caleb Jackson was due for a 1,000-yard season, and it didn't pan out that way. So, and certainly you didn't expect it would be this bad. You thought there might be some adjustments to that Jaden Daniels to Nussmeier style. I don't think anybody predicted it would be this bad, and it didn't look this bad in practice either.
No,
so
it didn't. No,
it's football's a funny thing sometimes. That's all I got to say. Yeah. Super chat here from Dane Bergeron, who's an outstanding supporter of the show. Thank you for all of your support tonight and every night, Dane. Do you think BK will keep Sloan as OC after this season? His play calling is suspect, especially in the red zone. I hate Frank's running back rotation. I'll touch on it real quick, and we'll let Carter do it. Number one, he's staying. Until Bryce Underwood decommits, Sloan's going to be the guy next year. I don't think Sloan – I think Sloan is learning. I don't think he's been abysmal as an OC. I think there's been some things I'd like to see him improve on. I think there's also an element of I'd like to see him get a more multifaceted in this offense. I think they should have read the writing on the wall that Nussmeier ain't going to take the read options. He has zero running threat, and they should have incorporated some under center into the offense this year. I think they should have done that, and I think it's too late to do it. His play calling is suspect, but I wouldn't say it's awful. And I would say they could do a lot worse. And I think Joe Sloan is a smart enough young man. He will learn and adapt, and I think he'll get better. Frank's running back rotation, it's never been great. Never been a huge fan of it.
What would you change?
I would do it situationally a little bit better. And this goes back to even like last year. It was kind of rough, and it goes back a long time. But I think that there's been a lack of communication with Frank and Sloan in terms of making sure the right running back is in the game for the right situation. And I really kind of want to ask, like, what is that communication even like? Are you dialing up to Sloan? Are you listening into the play call and saying, hey, we're running a wheel route. Let's get Caleb Jackson out of there and put in Josh Williams, who's really good at catching it out of the backfield. Or we got a running back block play. Let's get Josh Williams in there, Or how about this? We're on the goal line. Let's get the smallest back on the team, Josh Williams, out of there and put in a bigger bruiser. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff I'm wondering what's going on, and kind of I'm not a big fan of it. What's your thoughts on the comment?
Yeah. So I just think at this point, Caden Durham is the best at everything. Maybe outside of pass protection.
I say pass protection. What about blocking downfield?
Yeah, and obviously the blocking aspect, and a true freshman running back's never going to be good at that.
And I've never seen a blocking back as good as Josh Williams at LSU. That is.
Yeah, no, Josh has been good. He'll miss a few from time to time, but you're right. He's their best pass protector. But yeah, as far as Sloan going into next season, you never sign hopefully sign the best recruit ever that you brought in at LSU, which is Bryce Underwood. He will be the highest ranked recruit ever at quarterback from out of state. You don't move on from that guy, even if it was a rough year one. And on top of that, people like Joe Sloan. The people I talk to pretty often, they do like him as far as a coach is concerned. But you are right, Dane. The play calling has not been great. A lot of first down pass, second down run situations. LSU is not good when it comes to sequencing. Never run the football on 2 plays in a row. It almost never works with LSU. So one thing that's also been weird is I'm a little shocked that LSU has not done more play action, even though these last couple of games play action hasn't been as effective. You don't need the run game to work for play action. In fact, it's the opposite. If you play action, pass it on the next play you run, you have a lot more success. Once again, that's anecdotal, but I've seen this happen for LSU quite a bit.
Wait. Are you saying that in games you aren't running the ball well, play action works better?
No, it doesn't work better. It still works, though.
Oh, it still works. Okay.
Yes.
I would assume there's a degree of it slipping away in.
Yeah. So there have been deeper studies on this in the NFL, but play action still works. Even if you don't run the ball well. And in fact, LSU after play action passes have had good runs. The 3 best runs in the Wisconsin game came after passes. The big 60-yard run versus USC came after a play action pass from John Emery. So, I think we're underrating John Emery's injury into all of this, and how much that set LSU back because he did look really, really, really good in the USC game. And I'm not just talking about running through wide open gaps. No, he looked like he had real freaking juice there. As far as Sloan is concerned, it's not been great. There's a lot of things I wish that they would just quit doing altogether. And Preston, one big play in the Joe Sloan offense is verticals, right? Just running everybody vertically. And LSU has just not been good on verticals.
Well, they haven't had a real true deep threat. Now, Hilton being back, you have to hope.
Yeah, and Garrett's deep, like just straight vertical passing has not been great.
It's been bad.
As well, yeah.
Do you have any kind of number that you've charted? How many of his deep balls? I'm not talking 15 yards. I'm talking 25 plus yards. How many of those has he hit this year? I would guess maybe 1 for 8, something like that.
Yeah. So I think to the left, he's been 2 for 7 or 8. And I think deep right, it's been 8 for 7. I'd have to go look at it again.
Oh, so he's actually really good on the right.
I think he's thrown to the right more. I still think, but to your point, I think the numbers are bad.
Are you saying so? You're saying 2 on the left, 8. You're saying he's hit 10 deep balls this year?
No. I am definitely misquoting this. I saw it on SE.
I'm about to say 10 deep balls. See, I think maybe 2 or 3 max that I can remember.
The deep one to Aaron Anderson, South Carolina, and then the deep one to Kyle Parker.
Okay. Yeah.
UCLA was on the right side. There's a few other deep right ones I'm missing. But so the point being, just the straight verticals have not been that great.
Right.
So I would quit running just straight vertical routes for a few reasons. Number one, part of the benefit of running just straight verticals is the QB run game, which is something Garrett's just not going to do, right? If they're running
right, because you take all the DBs and stuff downfield. If they're running any sort of man with a zone over the top, you're taking 6 guys.
Right. Wow. So they tried to do at the end of the first half on the 3rd and 10, they tried to do a switch vertical to the left, and Mason broke off his route, and there was a wide open alley for him to run through. And even if you don't pick up all the yards, the clock continues to move, and it would make it a better field goal, or you can go for it on 4th.
Yeah.
Another all verts deep in your own territory was the Trey Amos interception versus Ole Miss. And, we give up a lot of bull rush on longer developing plays, and those plays can take longer to develop. So that bull rush gets into your face. You try and throw over it. That's what happened on Walter Nolan had a hand in his face and he threw a pick straight to Trey Amos. So it's a problem. And look, Sloan's offense is very heavily reliant on verticals, and LSU has just not really been able to hit those.
Right.
And that's frustrating.
It is.
Like you, Preston, I've been a little bit more pro Nuss than some of the others.
Yeah.
some other, YouTubers and just fans. And part of why I've been so pro Nuss is there's just so much on his plate each and every week that he must do for this team to have a chance.
Let me throw a caveat at that, though. A lot of times when quarterbacks have running games struggling, yes, more is on their plate, right? But also, it does kind of inflate their stats a little bit because all of a sudden, instead of running the ball on second and goal, you're trying to get it in for a touchdown. Throwing the ball. So sometimes those stats do get pumped up a little bit, and I think Garrett Nussmeier is certainly enjoying that. But I'll still say this about Nussmeier: he's still enjoying the best season for a first-year starting quarterback that I can remember. Fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I obviously,
at LSU. Let me clarify. At LSU.
Right. I obviously, you can argue Flynn's first full year was the best, but I'm with you mostly on that. I think what Jaden did for our running game in 2022 was also pretty special.
Yeah.
I mean, the number 2 team in the whole college football at rush yards after contact.
Yeah.
The only team that was ahead of us was Texas with Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Brooks, and Roschon Johnson. All 3 of them are in the league. So yeah, but I'm with you. I think it's either Jaden or Nuss with maybe a slight lean to Nuss. But to your overall point, I mean, his numbers are inflated. He's had the highest uncatchable pass percentage of the NFL draft quarterbacks.
Really?
But part of that is because he's had to throw so much more than some of the other quarterbacks that are in this draft class, if you will. Now, he could still come back, but his passing attempt numbers are like way ahead of a guy like Shedeur Sanders, where Colorado, they say to hell with the running game. They're far more of a, passing attack team. That's where this thing has gotten. And you are right. Garrett's numbers can be inflated with all the extra throws, but his completion percentage has been, down because of that, because we're asking him to do so freaking much in this offense.
Yeah.
And there's so many things in this offense that he has to fit, really tight throws into receivers. There's not a whole lot of gimmies in this offense either. There's not a whole lot of easy screens or tight end leaks, if you will. So Garrett's been able to do this at an extremely high level while at the same time throwing you out of games. And that third quarter versus Texas A&M was an all-time back quarter by any LSU quarterback. So he's got to be better in that aspect, and LSU's got to do a better job of putting him in places to succeed.
I'll say this: if you want to add, maybe this is just like hopeless optimism, but maybe a bit of silver lining to the struggles of Nussmeier, both in Texas A&M and Ole Miss, is that's the film the NFL scouts are going to be watching. And based on that, he needs another year in college. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy you were kind of afraid to have leave. And then, of course, most odds-on bets would say that Bryce Underwood would be your guy you turn to as a true freshman. And not very many true freshman quarterbacks, even number 1 recruits in the country, not very many came in and played well as true freshmen, just saying. So you would ideally want Nuss to be your starter next year as well. And all of a sudden, that premise is looking a lot more promising, albeit at the cost of him struggling in big SEC games.
But look, Carvis and Pressure are pushing back on me, saying Nuss is a clean pocket, wide open receivers, and running lane opportunities. Yeah, no, there are times when I just shared a specific play where I said he should take off and run.
Yeah.
But the Ole Miss game, there were guys in his lap consistently, and he had to step up, make plays, move around in the pocket. So I have – the funny thing about it, even though a lot of people have labeled me as a Nuss excuse maker, is I have been very critical of him and very specific in my criticism. I share 1,000 plays where I'm like, what the heck are you doing? So, someone mentioned the Chris Hilton go ball. That one should have never been thrown. That was a really, really, really bad throw. In that game, in that situation, you need to keep spamming the football to Aaron Anderson until they do something different, right? The slot targets were where you should go versus that A&M defense that can be very aggressive up front and in the second level where they like to jump routes and stuff like that. You should have kept working the football to Aaron, and you throw a hopeful go ball that Chris should have done a better job and made a better play on it. Brian Kelly was seen chewing him out on the sideline after that play. That was a bad decision. There was a lot of bad decisions in the A&M game, but I feel like it's fair to also say that he's made some high level of difficulty throws, and in particular for our first year starter, that has honestly kept and won LSU some games this year. So I think that's fair. I don't feel like I'm being fair.
I'm trying to be fair with him too, and understand if you're a top 3 round quarterback, you're a very good quarterback. I think people are way too harsh on you're either the best or not good. And, I've dealt with that in conversations. Like I've talked about like Danny Etling. I'm like, he's a good quarterback, not great. He was just a good quarterback, and he was a guy who got drafted in the 7th round. If you're, and I think for him to leave, I think he's going to need to be a top 3 round pick. I've got a lot of questions about Bryce Underwood in the chat, and of course the rumors of Michigan pushing on him. I'm going to get to those, but I have to get to my first ad break before we do that. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to come back and talk a little Bryce Underwood. I'm also seeing a little bit of people bringing up including your description for yourself under your own handle there, talking about a little bit of Twitter drama earlier today. So we'll get into that when we get back. But first, guys, I got to thank Celebrity Theaters, our title sponsor, for making everything we do possible here as our title sponsor here of the LSU Football Fix. Guys, they do weekly promotions, including Monday, where they do their senior savings day, where it's $5 for all patrons over the age of 55. Tuesday is Bargain Tuesday for all, where you get discounted movie tickets for everybody. Wednesday is College Night. Admission for college students after 5 p.m. is $5. Baton Rouge location has half off arcades all day. And of course, Thursday at the Baton Rouge location is Thirsty Thursday. And guys, really excited to bring Struby's as a sponsor to all TigerBait live shows this football season. They're located on 107 3rd Street in downtown Baton Rouge. Struby's prides itself on providing a 5-star dining experience for a reasonable price. Struby's is locally owned and operated with ownership in the building daily, taking a level of pride in its food and service you just won't see from just any corporate establishment. Struby's features a full menu of specialty meats, including USDA Prime Black Angus steaks, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip. And for those looking for something outside of meat, they offer items such as the dry aged pork chop, black truffle lobster pasta, redfish, and plenty more. Book your reservation online tonight at strubys.com. Make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. And of course, guys, we got to thank Genesis of Lafayette for sponsoring our show. Let's put them up. I'll be right back.
Drive in style and luxury with a new Genesis from Genesis of Lafayette. Buy a 2023 Genesis G70 3.3T Sport Prestige Executive Demo and pay only $39,870. Buy a new 2025 GB70 and take $2,000 off the MSRP with value owner, competitive owner incentive, plus finance for 2.99% APR for 60 months or 3.99% APR for 72 months. Don't forget to start your shopping online by visiting genesisoflafayette.com.
There's a reason they sell more Genesis than any other dealer in Louisiana. For the very best buyer experience of a new luxury SUV or sedan, call them toll free to set up your test drive, 877-856, and tell them TigerBait sent you in. All right, let's get to the, I guess you would call this $4 million question. Any truth to the smoke that Michigan is offering Bryce Underwood some serious cash? Is he going to flip? I'm going to give you the best answer I have to my knowledge, okay? And I presume that if major media affiliates are reporting that Michigan is prepared to match, that's what I heard, is prepared to match LSU's offer. It's that it's true, or at least there's some truth to it. I'd also assume, based on their verbiage, that they're not going to blow LSU's offer out of the water, which is what you should be concerned about. I spoke to Bryce's family and football coach throughout their recruiting process, and this is probably a bit dated at this point. I'll tell you why in just a second, but based on my conversations with both his coach and father, I kept on bringing up Michigan to them, and they were respectful about it, but I really caught the vibe that they weren't interested. They knew stuff was going on with Harbaugh, and his dad mentioned recruiting violations outside of the Connor Stallion stuff going on. Basically, and they were very quick to name LSU the front runner in the process. So based on conversations from a few months ago, I'd say that the Underwood family wasn't big on Michigan from day one. They're kind of an afterthought, and they fell in love with LSU and Joe Sloan in particular. And I think that would mean for Michigan to get back in the picture, they would have to substantially beat LSU's offer. Now, why do I say it's outdated? I have tried my best since these rumors popped up maybe 2 weeks ago to reach out to the Underwood family. There have been phone numbers that have been changed, and guys who were previously pretty open-lipped with me. I've gotten a little more hush-hush about the situation. So I haven't been able to really get any updated information on the Bryce Underwood situation. So I wouldn't freak out too much over that, because that's actually pretty normal in recruiting. After a visit, a guy and their family are willing to talk about it, but then a few weeks later, they're tired of talking to the media, right? Also, once a guy's committed, they kind of want to just coast on and go play. They don't want to talk to reporters a ton. So I wouldn't freak out as much as you might think just hearing that to the untrained ear, but that's what I've got. Carter, any thoughts on Bryce Underwood? Do you have anything that I didn't add just there?
None. I mean, I interviewed him at the spring game. I've talked to his dad, I think, once. Actually, take it back, I think twice since then, just via text. I've not reached out since the Michigan rumors, because I know every single person is reaching out to him. Here's the thing. Let's just say that number is thrown out there, okay, 4 million or whatever. It behooves them to not say anything about that, right? Like, let's just say like they are always going to go to LSU, no matter what that number is, okay? Why would they shoot down something so ridiculous as a potential $4 million offer to Michigan? Why would they do that so far away from signing day? So this was inevitable. He is the number one quarterback. And on top of this, anytime a story like this happens, Preston, is there probably some smoke and some truth to it?
Yeah.
Yes, probably.
Most of the time, yeah.
But
even if that smoke is just listening to them to get a better offer from where you're at, coaches do this all the time.
Yes. And one thing that is that's not been brought up enough, whenever there's a big story like this, like the number one quarterback, where's he going to sign? I always ask myself, who all does it help when this is out? Well, it definitely helps the Underwoods, right? Because, it just has out there, that's the price potentially of doing business with us. And maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But Michigan, of any of the powerful programs that are out there, outside of Oklahoma, has had the worst quarterback play that they have had in quite some time. So on the Sharon Moore side of it and the people that are at Michigan, the rumor of this happening gives Michigan fans some hope. Maybe there is this hopeful guy that could swoop in and save the day, even if they really don't have a shot at landing him. It does good for them. Does that make sense, Preston?
Right. No, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I do think there's some of that, because honestly, Michigan is a disaster. I mean, this team is not good. I don't think anyone expected them to be a college football. Well, some did, but I didn't think many expected them to be a college football playoff team. But their offense is just atrocious. It's a whole bag of ass. And this gets some juice going. This gets some energy going.
Right. Look, I'll tell you my ultimate gut feeling, but please understand, for anybody listening here, it's all it is my gut feeling. I cannot unhear the tone of his father's voice on that phone call when I asked him about Michigan. Okay, the words I can print 1,000 times. The tone just plays back in my head over and over again. And that's where my gut feeling is like, they're not taking Michigan seriously. They don't care about Michigan. I think it's a ploy to use it to get a better NIL package from LSU. They're looking to see if they can tack on a 250,000 or something like that. And it's just, a lot of times recruiting where there's smoke, there's fire. Well, in coaching, we don't always say that because guys are negotiating for more money. And that's all I got to say, guys. I don't have anything concrete.
Let's go, Preston.
But I cannot unhear that. It's scarred into my head. And not just his dad, his former coach I talked with. Same thing. And his coach asked me, I told him, I said, it seems like LSU might be the front runner, but of course Michigan's there. And he's like, well, why do you think Michigan's there? Guys, and this is months ago, but I can't unhear it. That's all I got to say. I'll leave it at that. I'll let you interpret the rest.
I love it. That's why I love you, man. I'll tell you this. When I interviewed Bryce Underwood, I talked to his dad for a long time off camera. So I interviewed him, and then I was walking out to the stadium, and he was just standing by himself after the game. He didn't know where he was supposed to go. And he was literally, it was like crazy. He was standing in Tiger Stadium essentially by himself. And I talked to him for a while. And hearing him talk about coming down to Baton Rouge, he really, and this is his dad, he really enjoys Baton Rouge. All right. Yeah. I just want to put that out there, and that he loves it. And he's very interested in being in Louisiana. So obviously with Bryce Underwood, he can go anywhere he wants to go. But I still feel pretty good that LSU is going to get him. I do.
You know what the real X factor here is?
What's that?
He's a massive NBA YoungBoy fan.
That is true.
That's the defining factor. Let's see if he's interested in Boosie too, maybe even Wayne. The rappers from Louisiana. Look, they got Eminem in Detroit. I get it. Eminem's great, but I'll take the Louisiana rappers over Michigan any day of the week, man. All right. So you want to explain your little Burrow greater than Cam thing beneath your name there?
Well, it was only because you went on your Twitter rant, and when you go on your Twitter rants, I know to be in your corner on almost every single one of them. And I actually am in your corner on this. So I was at the Cam Newton breakout game. And what's funny is in this whole debate, the first real Cam game was the LSU game. That was like when everything got national. I remember being Paul Feinbaum there. I was a student at the time, and I had never seen anything like that guy in person. And you really hit the nail on the head with this part of the argument. Cam was better for Cam's environment, and I don't think Burrow would have been able to do what he did in Cam's environment. But I hate it when everyone just assumes that Cam Newton with a lot better weapons would just be the same Cam Newton that he was at Auburn. Right?
And better, right? Yeah,
and just as good as Joe Burrow, who did not throw for less than 278 yards in a game. Joe Burrow, who,
by the way, that 278 was a game he went 23 of 25.
Yes,
just saying.
Yes, like I cannot stress enough when it comes to Burrow. A guy played a full 15-game season and had 15 great games. Now, 7 of them were probably like very, very, very good, and 3 are probably up there with the best games we've ever seen a college quarterback play ever.
Right.
He did not have a single bad game. Cam Newton had some 17 to 14s.
Mississippi State, the defense bailed him out.
Yes. So this idea that it's automatic for certain if you give Cam Newton better weapons that he could have done what Burrow did, would LSU likely still win it all that season? Yes, but that's disrespectful to what Joe did.
I actually don't think LSU wins it all with Cam Newton and LSU's offense.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And
look, Cam Newton's not the polished decision maker and passer that Joe Burrow was. That LSU offense was highly predicated on getting the ball to Jamar and Jefferson. highly. And then even Terrace Marshall, which, by the way, remember all those early touchdowns to Terrace Marshall? Those are all third reads. Okay, Cam Newton wouldn't have made it through the third read on all those. So I think Cam Newton passed for half the stats that Joe Burrow did. Talk to me about weapons all day long. 1/3 of Cam Newton's offensive output was running the ball. What the hell does Jefferson and Chase have to do with his 1,500 yards running the ball? Yeah, he was a freak athlete. Here's one argument I'll put on this. Okay, in the NFL, right? Who is the better quarterback? Cam Newton in his prime or Tom Brady? It's not a trap question. It's not a trick.
Oh, so you're asking me?
I'm asking you. Tell me.
Yeah, I would say Brady.
Brady, it's no doubt. He's the GOAT, right? And you're not even going to sit there and question. But which of these quarterbacks, if you have a complete crap team, no offensive line, no offensive weapons, and you want to plug one of those quarterbacks in to see how many games you can win, Cam Newton in his prime or Tom Brady, I'm pretty certain, and just that one season, of course, we're talking about, not like building for the future or something like that. Cam Newton's going to give you the better chance to win more games with an absolute junk team around him. But no one is sitting here saying,
right,
well, Cam Newton's actually better than Tom Brady, because if you plug Cam on this horrible Panthers team right now, well, he'd probably win more games than Tom Brady would have, because Tom Brady can't run and he needs players to catch his ball. It's a ridiculous argument. I'll take the guy who takes the great team and makes it the best effing football team ever to touch the college football field. Okay, guys, the offensive production's not close. Weapons are something you bring in as a tiebreaker. Okay, Cam Newton had about 75% of the production of Joe Burrow, both in touchdowns and total yards. Okay, that's total. That's not passing. It's half. When we're talking half the passing touchdowns, half the passing yards. Okay, so once you add in the rushing element, it becomes 75%. Mind you, Joe Burrow is the only player in college football history with a 6,000-yard total yard season. He's the only Power 5 player to have 65 total touchdowns, and he did it against 7 freaking top 10 teams. If you're sitting here and telling me Cam is better than Burrow, it's because you haven't done your homework and you just want to be one of these lazy guys. Well, the eye test, or well, Cam didn't have NFL players around him. Cam couldn't use those NFL players like Burrow could.
Yeah, and this isn't an LSU like bias kind of thing either. Like, I mean, I'll sit here and say that guys like Derrick Henry were better than Leonard Fournette. Like, if I truly feel some way about it, I don't mind saying someone is better than this LSU player, right? But Joe Burrow is the best. And one thing I'll say is I do think, and this is a completely side topic, I do think Cam's NFL career is very underrated. I really, really, really do. I think his peak in the NFL was just stupendous. With Ted Ginn being your best receiver. But like, just because he's a guy that I would want to carry a team of nobodies doesn't mean that he's not like the best, right? There's a lot of different GOAT arguments that you can make with that, right? Like, Lionel Messi has to be surrounded by great players for him to do. He had to have Xavi and Iniesta around him during his prime for him to win at the level that he was able to win. And look, Cam is, until Joe Burrow, the best college quarterback, the best single season.
I agree with that. By the way, a lot of people brought up Jaden versus Cam. I'm taking Cam over Jaden. I am.
Yeah, and it's close, and
it is close. It's very close. But close. I'm going Cam. I'm going the guy who can throw people.
Yeah. Like, it's close. I think for me, you could make a case like Jaden at the end of the season's peak was more explosive and electric than Cam's, but to just all those high leverage moments, what Cam did was nothing short of incredible. Sure. I do think Joe and Cam are in their own tier of the modern guys, though. And then after that, I would probably have Jaden 3-ish in that range. But no disrespect to Cam at all. I mean, I remember talking to the LSU players after that game. They're like, we had never seen anything like that before. I mean, it's still etched in my memory, that cutback he had on Carnell Hatcher. I've never seen anyone's ankle.
By the way, dragging Tyrann Mathieu and Patrick Peterson to the end zone on that 50-yard run.
Is it that?
Dude's a freak. But you know who hit the game winner, and that was really Ontario McCaleb. So nobody likes to give Michael Dyer, Ontario McCaleb, Nick Fairley love. They like to act like this was a 6-6 football team that Cam Newton just came in and said, yeah, if you put a garbage quarterback in there, 6-6, but you plug in a serviceable good quarterback, and the team's probably 10 wins, 9 wins, something like that. If you want to see the whole shtick, I wrote a dissertation on Twitter. Y'all go check it out. It's at Jake Crane, who's actually a pretty good guy. Been on the show. Just he added me, and I said, "All right, God, welcome to the kitchen." All right,
I've had one interaction with him, and it was good. But I know he's an Auburn guy.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Okay.
But he actually, we've talked about this a couple times about Cam and Burrow throughout the years, right? And he actually talked about it's good to have people in your circle who disagree with you. And I said, that's why I keep you around, even though you think Cam is better than Burrow. So then he turns that into its whole standalone tweet. I'm like, oh, you want the smoke. All right. I don't think.
Let me ask you this. Would you take Johnny Manziel over Jaden Daniels?
No, I don't think so. I'd have to. I don't have the proper education really. They're both freaks.
So you got to get. So here would be my challenge for you, since you love doing the research. I want you to go rank all the Heisman winners. Just do it.
Okay, I will give. That's not something I take lightly. One day I'm gonna actually take all these points of Burrow and the Cam and make it into a column that forever lives on TigerBait.com. And anytime the argument pops up, forever for the rest of eternity, I have an entire column written out there. Carl Dunn, LSU wins their women's exhibition game over LSU A, 112-37. So good for the women. Looks like I'm told they might have the most complete roster that they've had to date. Let's get to our final set of ads, and then what I'm going to do, we're going to go rapid fire, get to your comments, talk a little bit. We're going to touch a little bit. LSU plays Alabama. This was a very bye-week type show tonight, but we'll get to a little bit of that, and we'll call it a night here. But before we do that, guys, of course, I got to thank our title sponsor one last time, guys. Y'all know it is Celebrity Theaters, making everything we do possible, guys. They've their theaters have 8 and 10 auditoriums, depending on which location you pick at. They can host your birthday party, private movie screening, corporate meeting, arcade party, whatever they're looking for. They can host your events. Visit celebritytheaters.com/events or give an email, events@celebritytheaters.com, to set up yours. And guys, with all of our sponsors on tigerbait.com, we really try to get locally owned businesses that we have experienced firsthand and can trust to bring our viewers a quality experience. Capital City Grill fits right in there. This football season, we've added them to our lineup, and they're located on 100 Street in downtown Baton Rouge, 100 Lafayette Street in downtown Baton Rouge. Capital City Grill is your ideal lunch and dinner stop for a casual dining experience. They offer a variety of sandwiches, burgers, pastas, and steaks with almost everything priced at $30 or below for an affordable experience. Don't forget to celebrate a Tigers win at their Sunday morning brunch, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Book your reservation online at Capital City Grill. Make sure to let them know that TigerBait sent you in. And of course, our final ad clip of the night. You see the sign behind me. I got to thank Rejuvame.
At Rejuvame, we specialize in medically monitored hormone and weight loss therapy, giving you the energy you need for all life's challenges. Let us be your age-defying clinic. Restore me, refuel me, Rejuvame. RejuvameMedical.com.
Guys, transform your health journey with Rejuvame Medical. Discover personalized treatment plans with weight loss medications and hormone therapy designed just for you. Begin a new you at RejuvameMedical.com. Oh boy, someone says Michael Vick over in college over Cam. I don't know about that one. I mean, he was good at Virginia Tech, but no.
But let's just.
This is not going to be a trash on Cam Newton session. He's a freak. He's a freak. I'm taking Cam over anybody not named Joe Burrow. I'm just telling you, once you do a deep dive into just how good Joe Burrow was, I mean, like you said, there was no bad game. 15 games against the toughest schedule of any national champion ever. Only team ever to beat 7 top 10 teams. It just becomes laughable at how distant the second best player was in terms of getting things accomplished on the field. It's laughable.
Yeah. And one final thing on that. All right. The LSU offensive line won the Joe Moore Award that season.
Sure, they did.
And I'm glad that they did. Right. But the idea that Burrow did this with guys just running wide open all the damn time, and there wasn't guys in the backfield that Joe Burrow had to dodge and make incredible plays on is lunacy. Right.
Right.
It's important also when you do these kinds of debates. I've watched a lot of the Cam games, and they are really freaking out of mind incredible. But if you actually sat down and watched the big games that LSU played, and this is where the Burrow debate really goes in his favor, is that Joe was a very efficient runner. Like, I mean, in the biggest games, his mobility won the game versus Alabama, Auburn.
Third down. Oh, yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was so big. And towards the end of the season, he was just good at everything. And knowing what we know about his ribs being messed up in the second half of that game versus Clemson, I mean, the guy's a go. He just is. So we'll both get labeled as LSU folks. That's fine.
It is what it is. You know, here's my thing, man.
He's a go.
Yes, I went to LSU. Yes, I am an LSU reporter. I do really, really try my best to be objective and tell the truth. And a lot of times I've taken a beating for telling that truth a lot of times. And it is what it is. But when the facts back up something pro LSU, I feel it's my job to promote those facts. And right now the facts are pretty strongly in favor of, at least to me, of picking Burrow in that conversation. LSU plays Alabama. Are you thinking Alabama's a team that's imploding with Nick Saban in retirement doing College Game Day and Kalen DeBoer taking over? And of course they've lost to Vanderbilt and not looked great this year. Are you off the hype train for Alabama?
No, I actually bet they're under on the win total going into the season.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that? 10? 9.5?
9.5. Yeah. I felt pretty good about it too.
Yeah.
Milroe's struggles have not really shocked me. I did a full 15 minute breakdown before the season.
I'm
and
not a Milroe believer.
After that Georgia game, boy, was my email and Twitter DM fired up. And I was like, yeah, I might have been wrong. I might have been underselling it. But a lot of the struggles with him began to pop up. Now, are the rumors of him being banged up probably true? Yeah, there's probably some truth into that. But it's still a lot of lock-in, one-read kind of stuff. And it's been an issue. It's been an issue for them. And
I don't think he's a polished enough passer. I really don't.
No, he's not. And I think LSU with the week to prepare, they should be fine. Like, is he gonna go off on some big plays and some big runs? Sure, but I have a tough time believing what they did to Georgia is what they're going to do to LSU. I think the Tigers will be prepared, and we'll have an overall good enough defensive game for Garrett to go out there and potentially win it.
Good stuff there. I'm not going to give my prediction tonight, but I will ask yours, or at least give me some insights if you're not prepared to make a prediction. Brian Kelly is 7-0 under the lights at Tiger Stadium during his time at LSU. Does he make it 8-0?
Undefeated?
At night.
In the Tiger Stadium night?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I love it. Oh, look, music is here. Music.
He hasn't said it yet. I'm waiting on it.
What?
Every time he comes in my chat, first thing, Nuss Bus.
Music is blocked on my channel. It's good to see.
Unblock him.
I actually think I unblocked him.
Unblock him. Yeah, let's lobby for that.
I think
today.
he did. He has a full. He has a full. There are plenty that wonder where music. I think. Well, he called me Cooter just now. So
is that a reference to something or just?
No, I think that's I think he's calling me whatever. The Cooter is a term for. Well, it could be a lot of different things.
I just thought it was a shortened version, but we're going to put him in timeout anyways.
No, don't leave music.
No, in timeout. To timeout, you go.
It was good to see that he's still. I actually randomly started thinking about him 2 weeks ago. I was like, is music ever going to come back? I was like, because I'm pretty sure I unblocked him, but it's good to see your.
It's just been funny because he said Nussbus for 2 years, and then finally we get the Nussbus launched. He's like, I'm finally not the weirdo pushing for the backup quarterback. Funny stuff. All right, well, LSU, Alabama. Are you taking Tigers to win, or what do you want to say right now?
I feel fine about the game. I think it's a coin flip game, and I think at this point, Preston, I try not to look at individual games as, hey, you're going to win this one or you're going to lose this one. I'm trying to put together my best percentage chance that LSU goes 4-0 the rest of the way. So I wanted to ask you in your infinite LSU wisdom, because you're like me, games are probabilities, right?
That's how I always look at it.
Right. You think a lot like me. So do you think what percentage chance would you give LSU running the table the rest of the way?
See, now I gotta math it up. Let's see, Van. See, there's not a single game left on the schedule where you don't have a 10% chance of losing.
Yeah.
Right. And going into November, that's actually an odd thing to say because there's almost always a win. Well, Vanderbilt usually would fit in that category. No, you best believe Vanderbilt's got 20% chance to win. Oklahoma is certainly, 15, 20% chance to win, even as bad as they are. It's funny to say that you're more likely to lose to Vanderbilt than Oklahoma. In fact, I might even say Vanderbilt's 25% chance to win. And then who's the last team I'm not thinking of? Carter, help me out real quick.
Florida in this one.
Florida. Okay, well, Florida is. They're trending up. I'd give them a 35% chance to win. Yeah. So I think those 3 games. You've got probably combined a better than 50% chance to take all those. So I'll go LSU's win out chances at 33%.
Oh, that's high. I like that.
It is. It's probably high, but
yeah. So you have 4 quarterbacks the rest of the way. All 4 of them can run. 3 run really, really, really good. The other Pavia is a good runner, gritty guy.
Sure.
So 3 of those games are at home, and Vanderbilt gets a bye before they play you. And so I would say I would put LSU winning all 4 at about like a 10 to 15% chance.
10 to 50. That's probably more what.
Right. So like a 1 in 6 chance. A 1 in 6 chance at 15, 18%, and then 10% chance, about a 1 in 10 chance that they go 4-0 the rest of the way, considering all 4 of those teams. Vanderbilt, the trickiest thing, all right, whenever it comes to Vegas point spread, I'm going to ask you this. Have you looked at the Vegas lines for this weekend's games yet?
Okay. I have not. I don't know what the spread for. I assume Bama's like a 7-point favorite.
No. Okay, this is what
4.5 maybe.
Okay, this is what I want to ask you. And let me make sure I get this correct. All right, I do all my charting here. Let me find it. Okay, Vanderbilt, 11:45 a.m. kickoff at Auburn. I want you to guess what the point spread is for that game. Auburn hosting Vanderbilt.
Vandy -2.
You're not even close.
Oh.
You're not even close.
Tell me.
Auburn is 7-point favorites.
They're dumb.
But you see, that's the sucker line. That's what Jared Addison, who's in here. Jared's become one of my closest friends. Big supporter of yours, big supporter of mine. Jared said he listens to me, you, and Mike Scarborough.
Oh, good. Thank you, Jordan.
And true story, Buddy Sanji. I used to co-host Buddy Sanji's radio show.
That's funny.
But Jared had a flip out on my show earlier today when he was like, "What?"
Oh, you're saying Jared? I heard Jordan or Jared is his name.
Jared Addison.
Jared Addison. Okay, gotcha. And he's right here.
Jared
Here he is.
Addison in the chat.
That Jared. Okay, gotcha. I don't know why I heard Jordan.
But when, dude, I 7-point favorites. The Auburn Tigers over Vanderbilt.
You know, my reaction though, whenever I see that though, is that they kind of know something, and they're probably getting a lot of information from the bettors. Like they see the money coming in, and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, let's react accordingly."
Is Diego Pavi? I didn't check.
I don't know. All I'm saying is that they tend to know something, and they're very good at it. And a lot of times when a line is funky like that, it's because they're like, yeah, we know what we're talking about.
So Pavia, okay, so now it's coming together. Pavia did get hurt versus Texas.
Okay, well then that's probably the thing.
But he returned, if I remember, I don't know. But that Auburn as 7-point favorites.
That's a big number.
In any capacity. There's a Danny girl. Danny hates me. And I remember I called her out earlier. She always gets on me about my fruity drinks. But
I'll tell you what, look, when you come down here and celebrities in town, they have fruity drinks to serve. We can get you one of those. Okay.
But here's the thing. Why do we equate fruity drinks into girly drinks?
Because girls drink fruity drinks.
Yes, but that doesn't have to be that way. I like to drink things that taste good. I don't need a thick IPA. I don't need to drink the fluid version of pine cone and motor oil. I like to drink the things that drive out my primal instincts and make me want to grow a giant lager beard and beat on my chest while watching, Viking-esque sports of male peak achievement. And something about a rosé, whatever, just no, man. I want something that just I drink it. I'm like, oh, I feel manly. Let's hurt something. Whatever that, like, I don't understand.
Do you think the Nordic Vikings were finishing their pillaging and raiding with a strawberry margarita?
They would be if they were around then instead of
they drank mead and it tasted like ass, and they were manly because of that. That is my contribution to this argument.
But you can't tell me you take a sip of bourbon and it tastes better than a strawberry daiquiri.
I'm not a straight, No,
like my cousin Cliff is a bourbon.
I like it added to something, sure.
Yeah, I don't. It tastes like I don't. I don't need to drink. I don't need to drink gasoline. Carvis has been one of my closest buds in Florida, but Carvis gets on me about the fruity drink stuff too. He knows ball well as well. But Preston, this has been so much fun. I
appreciate you for coming on, man. Guys, look, we're gonna wrap it up here tonight. Yeah. We actually went a little over here, but I mean, we started talking about fruity drinks and Twitter drama, and it just got derailed from there. So, guys, I appreciate Carter for coming on tonight. Carter, before you pop off, the where and what you do has gotten so complicated over the years. I don't even think I could give you a proper plug if I tried. Can you tell the people where they can keep up with all your content?
Yeah. So just go, basically, you can go to carterthepower.com. I have a website, but go to Power Hour LSU, Power Hour SEC, Power Hour NFL. That's the best way to go. I haven't updated my website in a while. Actually, someone else does it. My friends at nooffseason.com. You can sign and get your.
But all your links are here, right?
Yeah. You can find all the links. That's not been updated in a while because I suck at website stuff. But yes, you can find all the stuff there. Website looks kind of nice. nooffseason.com. They do great things.
Yeah.
But I take a lot of pride into this stuff. And what's funny is it's weird, like how many different fan bases will appreciate what you do, even if you hate them. So one development that's been weird is YouTube does pay my entire bills. It is my main source of income, my DJ and all that stuff. But one fan base that has really taken me in, and I tell them at the beginning of every video that I hate them, are the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
They love Atlanta Falcons fans have loved my film studies. And I always say at the beginning, I hate doing these. I really, really, really do. And I did one because that Thursday night football game they played versus Tampa was so crazy. I was like, well, I got to talk about this game. And I was like, damn, dude, they're showing me a bunch of love. So I do a Falcons video every week, and it's funny. They're like, I hate that I like this so much coming from a Saints fan. And I'm like, well, I guess it's a love-hate relationship. You're enjoying this and helping me make the 10 cents I make from each view, or actually it's less.
Yeah.
But
same thing with your Arkansas guys, huh?
Yeah, Arkansas.
And half the reporters hate you, apparently.
Well,
or just one.
That one. So the funny thing is, everyone could go watch it. I put that guy in a body bag, whatever. But one Arkansas reporter tried to take down my whole SEC channel, and I thought I was going to run into him at the Arkansas game, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to say to him if I see him. But the dude blocked me on all social medias. He never reached out to me anything after the fact, and
yeah,
it is what it is. He didn't want to stand on business. That's the thing. I'm not a conflict guy. Yeah,
no, you are. You are. So I know when I got the phone call about that, I was like, shit,
I got your advice because
he's pissed.
You're a media nerd like I am. You like media ethic conversations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know Preston would give me a fair journalistic while also having a PR background opinion on it. And here's my thing. If you're going to start something with me, just be straight up. That's all I ask anyone to do. Be straight up with me. All right. And the dude didn't want to be straight up with me. He tried to go around behind my back. And I was like, bro, that's just not what you do. You just don't do that. And I'm not Mr. Tough Guy either.
No, no.
It is what it is. But I appreciate your mentorship during that time. And I appreciate your Twitter account, PGuy77. That's where I check it. Well, I don't have to check it. It pops up.
It just comes to you, huh?
Yeah. You
It is funny since the chefery has begun during the Jaden Daniels campaign, how electric the following has become. The people just anticipating me roasting Guy. They will hear something they don't like, and I get tagged, and I am now expected to provide cooking. I try to deliver. I do try. So anyways, guys, we're going to call it a night here. No post-game show because there's no game. So enjoy y'all's bye week. Watch some football. I'll be back the Monday after that. We will have Zack Nagy back in Carter's seat right there. And, of course, y'all make sure to go follow Carter on all the wonderful channels we just outlined. We will see y'all next week. Have a great night.